talkie. Yeah. Personality profile on Joy 99.7 FM. Tonight I have a very interesting conversation for you with one of my brothers, actually. Yeah. One of the greatest orators of all time. Oh yeah. This brother can talk for Ghana. Oh yeah. He's inspired some of us and he's still going stronger, making moves, and he's still the ever stylish young man that we know him to be. Seated right in front of me in a three-piece, dark blue, chalet. My goodness, this is style. Oh boy. Before we get in there though, let me remind you the Love Experience is on the 14th of February. It's going to be an amazing experience at Labadi Beach Hotel. You've got to be there. If you're thinking of giving your partner a real memorable Valentine, please pick up a ticket and join us at Labadi Beach Hotel for the Love Experience. Becca, Kwabna all performing. It's 700 Ghana cedis for the concert. If you want to stay over at Labadi Beach Hotel, we can give you a very cozy room for you and your partner to relax and unwind and reflect on your love. Yeah? Wake up to breakfast on the beach. Sorted. That's for 2,000 Ghana cedis. Call us on 0540-106-466 for your tickets. Or you can buy your tickets via Momo. You can dial star 920 star 50 hash. Select the buy ticket option. Select option 3, Joy FM, to purchase your tickets. It's really that simple. Yeah. Happy 38th wedding anniversary to you, Mr. Gustav Siale, and your wife, Mrs. Esther Siale. You celebrate your 38th wedding anniversary today. From the whole family, from Esme going out to you. I mean, wonderful. 38 good years of love. I would say God bless you and keep you together for longer. But let's get talking now. Personality profile I mentioned earlier. Tonight I spent time with one of Ghana's stylish broadcasters and a fine brain. A graduate from the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. He's earned a Master of Public Administration. Okay. And very soon he could be representing one of the constituencies in Parliament. My people at Wenchi, how are you doing? Good evening, oh, we are coming to you. We are coming to you with an honorable son of the line, the very affable Shaker, we call him, the one and only Kojo Frempong. Hello, brother.
I mean, why do I feel like I'm an imposter? Yeah,
I feel like we're talking about someone else.
I'm feeling the imposter syndrome right now. You know, and
why would you? I mean, come on, it's all you. It's all you, bro.
Come on. Okay, so let me start off this way. Yeah. I mean, good evening to everybody who's listening to us.
No, don't start off. Listen,
I feel extremely intimidated.
Yeah, right.
To be on this show, because I mean,
no, you can't be.
If, for example, let's say President Obama or President Trump or let's say President Anado came on Joy, this would be the show that he would inhabit. You know, and you're here. And if Kobe had come before, unfortunately, what happened, or if Michael Jordan came to Ghana, this would be a show. You know, so why am I lonely me
would find out
here on the show
in the next 45 minutes?
And did you settle on me as like replacement guest?
Not at all. The people of Wenchi asked me to hit you up.
Listen. Let me tell you something.
Kojo, no. I'm not going to allow you to tell me anything.
I'm excited to be here.
Kojo Frempong, relax.
I just need to make a statement, please.
No.
Please, allow me. That you, Lexus Bill,
Kojo,
you're seated where legends sat.
Definitely.
And I'm super grateful to have the opportunity to tell you that this was the same seat that Gabby occupied.
Yeah.
It's the same seat for Bolloré.
Yeah.
Komlo Dumo sometimes sat in the same chair.
Yeah.
For drive time, and on the morning show, this was a seat. So I'm super grateful to be here because I look at the 25-year history of Joy FM.
You actually left your name out.
No, because I was never really behind the console. Right? I was like not at all. I was like, we sit on this side, And but hey, listen, I have massive amounts of respect, loads of respect for the work you do and how incredible you do it, and the fact that maybe 8-10 million people listen to you every day, and you do a great job. And
thank you so much, man.
And I'm learning from you. But listen, thank you.
Kojo, it's okay.
And thank you for doing.
Calm down.
For being so brilliant. Okay, and the Lexus walk as well.
Yehovah. All right, so we're done with the show. Yeah, thank you very much for coming. Kojo, listen to me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just for once in your life, okay?
You sound like my wife now.
She literally walked out to hit you and say, "Yo, keep quiet."
Yeah.
Kojo, I'm really glad you're here. Honestly, I'm really honored. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a long time, and I think it's opportune time as well because a couple of days back I saw flyers rolling around, and then I saw the news item that my brother is going to contest the Wenchi parliamentary primary of the NPP. I'm like, okay, here we go. Congratulations.
So I'm finding it difficult to respond to congratulations all the time because I don't quite know what I've done to be congratulated for. What I think, however,
Mrs. Sankoff, can thank you.
Shouldn't I know what I'm saying thank you to?
No.
Thank you for?
Listen, the courage, the strength, and even the decision to want to represent the people. You know how difficult it is?
Yeah,
I was actually telling you before a little story from my place,
and that you're going to come to Parliament someday.
Look at you! It's okay. We can't even tell you secrets. What is this? Anyway, good to have you, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm glad and happy for you the strides you're making. I think not long ago you graduated from Harvard.
So that was.
Tell me a little about that.
So I don't like it when people, speak to Harvard because it feels like, wow, that's the only thing people suddenly realize.
No, there are a lot of things to realize. But hey, we all want to go to Harvard at some point. So now talk.
So I remember in 2000, somewhere 2004, 2005, 2006. I remember Komla came from Harvard, went to the same school I did, and he told me, Kojo, you know what? I think you should go to Harvard. That conversation never left me. It never did. And I remember.
Do you know why he said that?
I think we're just having a conversation and said, Charlie, but you forgo Harvard, Kojo. You forgo Harvard. And I said, I will. So when I got my admission, I was like, yo, this is tribute to you, Mr. Dumo, because you inspired this opportunity to go to this hallowed Republic of Learning, as they call it, and so I remember that conversation all the time.
Okay, but what eventually made you decide? Because this is a long time ago. What eventually made you decide that, look, I needed a Harvard degree?
Okay, so I felt when I got into government, when we won the election, when the president won the election in 2016 and made me a presidential staffer in 2017, and I started listening to the conversations, and I realized that we needed to think about public service differently, and we needed to think about the progress of Ghana differently. And if, for example, you, Lexus, came to government and you were saying some incredible things about how to use, say, technology to change the country, and there'll be few people who would be able to relate to that. So I decided, okay, if I think that we're going to be useful in the next iteration of this country, then perhaps I need to get the preparation and I need to get the education that will set me up for it. Because if you have goals, but you don't have the infrastructure or the setup to achieve those goals, then there's a misnomer, and then things are not in sync.
You couldn't get that education here in Ghana?
So I looked at the scape and I realized that, sometimes you want to be ambitious. You want to be at the cutting edge of the things that make absolute and incredible sense and change, right? So I looked at everything that was happening, and I'd spoken to people around the world. There was the option to do Oxford, there was the option to do MIT, there was the option to do Harvard. So I decided
there was no option to do Legon.
Well, I think it had not just cropped up in my thinking, I think that I had not just considered it. So once there was Harvard, and there was also the opportunity to do Harvard and MIT at the same time, I figured, okay, then let me do it. So that's how come. But, the steps that led to this were influenced by many people. And I'm super grateful for people like Ifwa Sabiasai, who is now the CEO of GEPA. I'm super grateful to someone like Nana Santibedieto, who inspired a lot of thinking into this, So, yeah, so my friends, my wife, because I remember when my admission came, I was like, baby, I have to go. And she was like, well, it's going to be tough, more than a year, but she was so supportive, and the year changed a lot of things in my life. And I'm super
Any learnings apart from academic learnings from Harvard?
Yeah, that you can get to the top of the tree if you decide. I was in the same class with the frighteningly clever Bright Simmons. And even at Harvard, they say, Bright is a different breed, and he's really bright, So, and all the people that you met, and you realize that there are people doing incredible things all over the globe, and you're among them, and therefore it's almost like a call to duty to say, how can we also be incredible? How can we bring space to our normal, everyday lives? How can we change things in a way that will benefit people? So, not just the academics. I think it's the network, is the peer environment, is how things are done, and I think those were incredible learnings.
Okay, we're going to talk about the earlier topic that I approached, seeing your flyer. You would want to represent the people of Wenchi at some point, but you also mentioned the passing of Kobe. I'd want to know just brief thoughts about that.
So I came from Legon to Joy FM. And I tell people that when I came to Joy, Komla was the superstar for everybody. For me, Dumo was not a superstar. Dumo was my project. I needed to understand what made him tick. I didn't understand what made him tick, what made him different, what made him brilliant. So I came to Joy to understudy or to think or to deconstruct Dumo. And those years I spent on a show, they were incredible years for me. And I understood firsthand what it meant to spend time off air, what it meant to do incredible research, what it meant to be attuned to the topical discussions, what it meant to use your network to create incredible things, So, I mean, I refused almost to go to all the funeral activities of Komla Dumo, because for me, I didn't want to think of him as he was gone. I wanted to think of him as somebody who was still with me, and I remember when he passed, they played an interview that he had here, and I bumped into the studio and we had a conversation, and for me he was so iconoclastic, and I will never forget my experience with him.
Right, good stuff. I was actually asking about Kobe as well, but we'll shelve that for a bit later in the conversation. Brian.
Oh, yeah. So I played basketball, of course.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Really?
And everybody who played basketball. I mean, in my time, it was really Michael Jordan.
Right.
So Brian came much later.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see the continuum, right, of stardom. So Michael and then Kobe Bryant. So yeah, and it's unfortunate. I have 3 girls. So I could relate, you know. Here was one of his daughters, Gianna, you know, so I could relate. And sometimes you just don't want to be away from the kids, you know. So I can imagine how painful it is for the wife and the rest of the family, but may his soul rest in peace.
Right. Already your folks from Legon Hall, room 201, are reaching out. Papa Shakes, you do all, and that's from Ike in the USA. He says, I knew there's something great in you. Wait a second, Wenchi, I thought you were a fancy man. Good luck on that adventure. From MC of Miss Legon to Joy FM, we're rooting for you. Kojo, you do all. That's from Ike in the USA. So let's get to understand the story from the beginnings. Probably you can start from where you grew up. Maybe you'll give us. He thought you were fancy. So Wenchi, he's a little.
Yeah, I mean, so let me tell you a story, a real quick story. So I was born in Takoradi, right? And this story is important to what I want to do in Wenchi. Because I remember my father, who passed in 2017, telling me that somewhere in 1958, he saw an ad in the graphic. And something told him that if he didn't act on that ad, he was going to be poor forever. The ad was to get people to come to Ghana Nautical College, which had just opened, to train as seamen. He was in Wenchi, never even come to Kumasi. There's no sea in Wenchi. But he figured that if this was an opportunity to get out to see the world, he was going to take it. He took it. Subsequently, a lot of water passed under the bridge. I was born in Takoradi because at the time, he was working for the Ghana Port and Harbors Authority. So I was born in Takoradi. I grew up in Takoradi. I went to St. John's School in Takoradi, then proceeded to Achimota for sixth form, and then to Legon. So my beginnings, as we say in Takoradi, I was born, baptized, bred. If it wasn't for Wenchi, maybe even to be buried in Takoradi, right? So my beginnings were in Takoradi. That's where I grew up, and that's why Dahwaka Fantin, Timoko Baby, Tadi was on. You know, that's the whole idea, and that's how come I grew up, and people thought that I was fancy. But both parents are actually from Wenchi. So my father from Wenchi, my mother from Wenchi. So I am bona fide Wenchi.
How were you able to establish, you know, contact or would I say familiarity with the people there, even though you were mostly in Takoradi?
So I'll tell you a story about how every time I went to Wenchi, I felt these were my people. Like I'll see my cousins I've never seen in 20 years, and I feel like, oh, he looks like me, or he looks like that, oh, that looks like my sister.
The guys in Takoradi looked different?
Yeah, you know, you just couldn't find that connection, right? So, yeah, so I grew up in Takoradi. Takoradi gave me a lot.
Yeah.
But I felt much more of a bond every time I went to Wenchi. So I started acting on that bond, speaking to people, getting their perspectives, knowing how they live their lives. And that's how I started migrating bit by bit into the Wenchi phenomenon.
How long ago?
So this was mainly from about 2015. And then 2017 it became really intense. And then 2018 I was out for a while. And when I came back, it became super intense. Yeah, so this is how come I'm now feeding. So you can say I'm feeding into the receptacle, which is Wenchi now, because I'm trying to understand what goes on in Wenchi and how we can bring change, or how we can bring help, or how we can bring empowerment to the people of Wenchi.
You don't think comparatively your Takoradi people would have probably felt a lot closer, but easier, relating to them more?
So the way I think of it is Takoradi has so much, and there are many people who can do that for Takoradi.
Yeah.
And I think that I will be more useful to the Wenchi environment. Every time I go around, I tell people, look, 25 years ago, Wenchi was this big place, right? If you mentioned Wenchi in Brongahafo, everybody could relate, right? But right now, all the jobs in Wenchi, mechanization, Tomacan, all of them are gone. So I feel it's a responsibility to now go and lobby for some of these jobs and these factories to come back into the environment. If you want to grow a place, the jobs need to be there.
Let's talk about your dad and growing up. Obviously, very industrious man to have moved from Wenchi to Takrady to pursue what he called a dream.
Yeah.
Did he realize the dream? Was he an affluent man eventually? Did you go out from would you say a privileged home?
So my father became a seaman, right? Because they trained as seamen, so they went everywhere in the world. He would recount to us tales about New York and Manchester, but then he had an accident and couldn't live on the sea anymore, so he had to come down and work for the Ghana Ports and Harbors Authority. He retired as a pilot. Would I say privilege? I think we're okay. I think we're a good family. You know, we had a big bungalow, we had a house. You know, so it was. I went to good schools. I went to St. John's School. All saints listening to me, salute. You know, I went to Achimota. You know, I figured that I could make the ambitious jump from a Western school. Not too many people came from Western schools to schools like Achimota and I felt I could fuel that ambition by, you know, studying and getting the grades that were needed. And thankfully I landed in Achimota, which was also brilliant, you know. And so I wouldn't say that we were affluent, you know. It was just hard-working man with a hard-working wife who wanted to give their children opportunities in life, and they managed to broker some of those opportunities.
Was it just your father's hard work that inspired your ambition, or there was a lot more than that?
You know, the first role model I had stayed opposite us. He was called Dr. J.I.T. Glover. And Dr. Glover was this incredible man everybody would go to, you know. So I would sometimes go and sit by him in his clinic. And then J.I.T. Glover went to Achimota School.
Okay.
And his kids went to Achimota School. So I figured, okay, then I will go to Achimota School. So I think my father used to say, you should keep dreaming. You know, you should keep dreaming. And it stayed with me. So I still dream a lot. And I realized that every time we dream and we put our energies behind it, some way, somehow, it becomes reality. I remember when I was in Legon, I used to tell people I would work at Joy FM, and they would laugh. I told them I'd work at TV3, and they would laugh. So eventually I got to Joy FM, eventually I got to TV3, and now it became the norm, right? The new normal. So I think every time you dream and you put the energies behind it, incredible things can happen in that scape. And so that's my story.
Well, was there a plan? You talked about Legon and the passion to pursue something at Joy FM. But before then, was there a certain career path you had wanted to take?
Very interesting. I wanted to do a mass communication degree so bad. I fell into radio purely by accident.
Is it?
And that's why I never despise small beginnings. I was in Dabwasi with some friends of mine, Yao and Lonnie, who's now a pilot at and Yao is at SGSSB, and we're doing national service, right? And then I guess we wanted to see more of the girls at the time, so we decided to do something called Miss Dabwasi. Because we wanted to see which girls were there, you know, so we did Miss Dabwasi. And then I was one of the main organizers, and I emceed it. With no MC background, nothing, I emceed it. And somebody was there as a judge and said, hey, but I think you did a brilliant job. I'm like, really? He says, I think you should work on radio. At the time, Sky Power FM had just started in Takoradi. So they gave me some references. I went to see them. When I went, Sky said that they had finished recruiting. But then Wilson Arthur
Wilson,
gave me a
Great
slot,
guy.
and then this was the accident.
Wow.
And I've been living the accident for the past 25 years.
Oh, goodness, yes. Well, you can send us a WhatsApp, 0244340437. Lots of messages. Lexus, my regards to Sheikh. Tell him I was with him at Legon Hall AA.
Annex A.
He was our landlord at the time. That's Fred in Wembley, London. Oh, you're a landlord too.
Yeah, I mean, so Kimathi Kuye here, who is also a lawyer, Harvard Law School, Legon. So Kimathi passed it over to me. Okay. And we had some really good times in Legon, you know, and so the landlord was like the chief of the block, right? So I was chief of the block at the time.
You must have been notorious. Be honest.
Not quite. I think I was a bit quiet and.
Even your wife is shocked.
I was a bit quiet and laid back.
Really?
And
right.
very well put together. This was my time in Lagos. Yes.
We're not speaking antonyms here, brother. I got a message from Conrad in Egypt. Kojo is one of the people I followed closely, and I just love his personality. Keep to answering the questions. You're not doing a sports commentary. That's from Conrad in Egypt, telling you to keep to answering the questions. Now, from Sky Power FM, your next media house to work with was Joy FM.
Yes.
How did the Joy bid come in?
So I was in Legon, right? And I kept telling people I work at Joy FM. I had done a stint at Choice. It didn't really work out. One day, I got a call that a certain Charles Mensah was looking for me. Charles was head of admin and finance, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
Was chief finance officer. So I came in, and there were some huge assets at Joy FM at the time. There was Komlo Duma, obviously, top level personality on the morning show. There was Yampo Fuankra. Christopher Poku was then in Kumasi.
Yeah.
So I came in, did some, regular rounds, and then they said, well, we think that we're going to give you a contract for 3 years. So they employed me. In fact, they didn't give me a contract for 3 years. They asked me, what do you think you're going to do for the next 3 years of your life? When they asked me that question, it kind of locked it in my head that I was going to work at Joy for 3 years. So I came in, and then, the people accepted me. It was brilliant. Working with people like Yampo Fuankra, who did a lot for me personally. I'll thank him someday. Working with Christopher Poku, and we formed quite a team. And I stayed at Joy for 3 or 4 years more. Worked with Yao, Michael Otieje. At the time, Sonny Decker was here. Susan Ampofo was our news editor. Matilda Asante, Kofi Owusu. So it was quite. Joy FM was one of the most enjoyable times in my life.
Right.
We're like kings of the scape, and there was Bolare, so it was.
Why did you leave?
So I left to pursue an entrepreneurial idea. So I had this company called All Sports Media, and wanted to do sport newspaper. And looking back, this is something I become very passionate about. We all worked under Kwesichum, right? So I worked here. Bolare worked here. Samuel Atamensa, which people don't remember a lot, but he was great here as well. Samens was here.
We do.
And Samens left and then set up City. Bola left and set up AIB. And I left, went to do my small newspaper and TV production. And these were from the learnings here, So I left basically to pursue entrepreneurship. So I set up this newspaper, All Sports, did very well, did some really good advertising work, ended up in printing, had a printing press and all of that. So it was mainly to take time off the radio, to concentrate on television, and then my new entrepreneurial work. That's why I left. But it was a very painful decision to leave, yes.
What happened to All Sports?
So we ran it for a while, and we predicted quite rightly in 2012, 2013 that there was going to be a crisis for power. And so we decided, okay, you know what? We don't want to live with this newspaper business for too long, because it was becoming always difficult, to meet the times, and it was becoming more expensive to print, advertising had gone up, but it had inventory sitting on our books for too long, collections period had expanded. So we figured, okay, maybe profitability was going down. We didn't need to stay with this for too long.
Maybe, or it was.
It was actually, but there were other avenues that we could go into. So we decided, okay, you know what? We didn't want to do the All Sports again. We thought about migrating it online, which was something that we thought we could do, but we figured, okay, but there were other offerings in the space, and
you gave up on it.
I did not. I chose to move away from it. I didn't give up on it. I chose to pursue some other things which were more beneficial, I think, to the company. And I thought printing had become great. I thought that we could pursue more supplies for people. So, yeah, I just chose that the newspaper was not what it was, and that it didn't make sense to continue.
Even now that things are better? You mentioned power.
Yeah, I mean,
with power and all that.
So now I think newspapers. I still think newspapers are a very difficult conversation to have. Globally, the trend is to do more online, more digital, because the way people digest and consume news has changed radically, and therefore I admire people like Graphic who have this huge institution and they're doing a good job, but you can tell that there's competition from My Joy Online, there's competition from Ghana Web, for the same news consumption. So I mean, I think you have to be a tough cookie to continue to be there.
And also, you didn't leave Joy FM because you had an offer from TV3.
No, because I never worked at TV3 full time, right? I always worked part time because I needed my independence to pursue other things. Okay. I'd never leave Joy FM.
I remember a couple of TV shows that you hosted. You also had boys talk show on
much later, because So one of the reasons I wanted to stop the sports show, the sports paper, was also because I wanted to go off sports and recalibrate my life and rebrand totally. And I wanted to become a lifestyle brand.
Not a sports
brand.
Sports wasn't your first love?
So I figured that people thought that the only time they could hear my voice or could hear my brain was when they were talking about Hearts, Kojo, Manchester Manchester and Chelsea.
You didn't like that?
And I figured they had pigeonholed me.
Okay.
So I wanted to live in this more expansive place, which was lifestyle. And so I wanted to move away totally from the sport and become a lifestyle brand. And it so happens that a few people thought I did a good job with lifestyle. Yeah. So we had Boys and it won awards, and the team was great. And they had the effrontery to name me 2014 Best Television Presenter, 2015 Best Television Presenter. I thought it was totally off chord, but sometimes
you said some of the things, and I'm actually tempted to bring your wife in because she looks at you like, yo, really.
So for me, and this is one of the lessons that I'm carrying in my life, that it's possible to rebrand.
Yeah.
That it's possible to become something else. One of the abiding quotes I live by is by Martin Luther King. It says, by all means, it says run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means,
keep moving.
Keep moving forward. So it's possible to recalibrate. It's possible to change. It's possible to become something different. And that's why we are now trying to be something different also in the political space.
We'll get to that pretty shortly because I'm sure the people of Wenchi are totally waiting to hear all the good things that you have for them. But tell me about this whole media journey this past 2 decades or more that you've been in there. What's been the biggest challenge of it all?
Would you come with me if I discuss this challenge? Are you ready to come with me on it?
Let's do this.
Journey? You become so popular, but it doesn't always reflect in your pocket.
I'm with you, brother.
There is nothing more egregious than being popular and being poor. But you're not poor, right? But you don't have the pocket bulge, right? But you're so popular, and this disharmony that exists is a big challenge.
In other words, your suit is more expensive than your bank account. you look rich, but
but that's by the by. The other thing is, people don't realize the kind of work you people put into it. So people sit and consume you for 4 hours, but the back end is so much. that you have to prepare for this, that you need to go through the motions, that you need to always produce somebody on Thursday for this conversation, and you need to do your regular shows and get people excited. You know, it's like the audacity of the thief. Why does the thief think that you are asleep, you've locked all your doors, but they can come in, take whatever they want, go out without being caught? It's the same audacity that you have when you sit on the radio, that you go into people's lives, into people's cars, and they don't even notice that you've come in and you've excited them and you've gone. But you do it so well that you're part of them without them noticing that you actually come into their lives and you go away. You know, and that's a huge challenge, because to be able to do it consistently every single day of your life for 5 years, for 10 years, that takes some doing. And that's a challenge. But a lot of people don't realize that, and therefore the compensation does not always take into cognizance that. And I thought that was a challenge, you know. But I guess it's with everything that you want to become so good at. You need to keep pursuing the opportunities that exist, recreating. You need to push. You need to prepare. You know. So,
if there was one thing you could do again, what would it be?
It won't be media.
It won't be media
at all.
At all.
At all. If there was one thing I could do again, I'm probably an engineer. Why? Because I think engineers have this unbelievable training, you know, that makes them think in blocks. I think the best resource you have is your brain, right? The best resource you have is your brain. The best way to create change and to create progress is to attack problems, you know, and make problems your resource. So you dig into problems, and in doing that you build capacity and you're able to advance change for people. I think engineers have that kind of orientation with their training, and if I had to do it all over again, I'd probably be an engineer.
So media people, we don't use our brain.
No, we do.
It's okay.
We do. They just say they don't pay with the way they use our brain.
What's your lowest moment in your career? What would you say has been your lowest moment?
Wow. I've made a career out of being positive. There's an inverse relationship between impossible and low with my brain. So I'm not able to see low moments. Even in the low moments, I'm able to see silver linings.
Which low moment did you see a silver lining?
Okay, so there was one time I was taken off TV. When Viasat contracted me, they said to me, create an elegant men's show. We want it to be super classy. This was my mandate. After we had done the show, they came back to say, this is too classy, mate. People can't relate. Therefore, we want to take you off for a year. Therefore, want to take you off. So they did. Now, that was low. But I figured, I am being dispensed with because I overachieved my mandate. 2-3 years later, they came back. And that's when the show went into orbit and won all the awards.
And when you came back, had you made it less classier than it was, and a lot more relatable?
So I think people judge based on their exposure. People judge based on how they interpret data. People judge based on what kind of synthesis they make out of a situation. When we came back, I thought we had even created a much classier show. But the guy who was there at the time, Sadiq Abu, felt this is the kind of show we want. And therefore, even though it was classier, Sadiq, who was then the guy was looking over the issue, said, "This is exactly what we want." So he got to a time I told him, "I'll stop in the show," and he would say, "Kojo, please, you can't." But this is the nature of things, and that's why I interpret my lowest moments to have a silver lining,
right?
To be able to move on to the next.
Good stuff. Now, Kojo Frempong is looking to represent the people of Wenchi in Parliament on the ticket of the NPP. Kojo, now tell us.
You've got prepared questions for me?
No. I was going to make sure it's the primaries that you're contesting now. But yeah, tell me about it. Yeah. Tell me about this decision. Of course, you got closer to government a few years back.
Yeah.
Now you want to go in deep.
Yeah. I think it's perspective taken, right? It's perspective taken. I think if you want to do something, you need a lot more people in the room with diverse opinions. I think that I represent a new idea in Wenchi. I represent a different idea in Wenchi. My idea is to go and lobby for factories and jobs to come to Wenchi so that people can get work to do. We're 120,000 people, voter population of about 41,000, and these 120,000 people, they are mainly farmers. The president is preaching such an incredible idea with one district, one factory, with adding value. In Wenchi, we don't have that. I think with the agency I have, if I get into parliament, I can make these things happen in Wenchi. My idea is to incubate Wenchi, is to make sure that we do things in Wenchi that people can come and look and say, oh, really, it's possible. Like Madiba says, if it's not been done, it seems impossible until it's done. You know, and I think that we can take some ideas to Wenchi and incubate them on how people think about transport, on how people think about health, on how people think about work, on how people think about jobs, on how people think about education. Sometimes my heart breaks when I listen to some of the people, and so I think it's not about listening and getting emotional or listening and getting frustrated. It's about listening and doing something about it. So.
You think you can't do anything about it until you're in Parliament?
I think that the agency that Parliament represents is a huge one. So, yes, we can do something about it, and we're already doing things about it. But I think when you become the official representatives of the people, that title, that opportunity to have discussions in certain spaces, that is a whole level of difference. I also think that even in the way we govern this country, so it's not just Wenchi, right? Because when I become a parliamentarian, or when you become a parliamentarian, it's also about helping your country to achieve the goals that the country nominates. So I think even in the way we achieve the goals that the country nominates, I think we can bring certain perspectives to the table. For example, let me give you an example. I never understand why in this Accra that we live, I never understand why we burn grass in places like the Accra Mall when they can be mowed properly. I never understand why sometimes there's so much rubbish around, you know. So I think we can think about these things differently, and we can bring change.
I mean, you have people like Professor George Yao Janbafo, who's been there.
Amazing guy.
Yeah. You don't think that maybe with all that you've gathered and the network you have and the influence you have, you'd rather support him to deliver on all of these things that you're talking about for the people of Wenchi?
Yeah, I mean, that's a brilliant question. So nobody should see a contest of ideas as being stark opposites, right? So we're in a contest of ideas with the constituents, with the delegates. If Professor Janbafo's idea wins, we are duty-bound to support Professor Janbafo to succeed. But once there's an array of ideas that can be interrogated, we find it necessary to put our idea also forward. So Professor Janbafo's idea represents a certain domain. Our idea represents another basket. Other people's idea represents other baskets. Now, the people have to synthesize these ideas and say, we think that Professor Janbafo should lead, or we think Kojo Frempong should lead.
Okay. Great ideas aside, great oratory aside, why do you think you're the best person?
Because I represent a new vision. I represent different thinking. I represent. So I think of myself as more opportunities driven. You know, when I have discussions with 5 radio show hosts who sit on drive time, you're practically in the same band, right? But everybody and what they do and how they affect the people who listen to you or your audience. So I think that's where I am right now. I think that we believe that our idea is the best because it will bring jobs to the people. We believe that it will empower the people. We're creating scholarship schemes. We think that people can ride on our back to realize their potential.
Awesome.
So that's where we are.
Kojo Frempong here on Joy 99.7 FM. Abigail Cranting in Adenta says, I miss his voice so much. His presentation was exceptional. Lexus told Kojo I'm in support of his campaign and Happy New Year to him and his wife. That's from Humphrey in London. Since Humphrey has actually broached the topic, maybe you can tell me about your very gorgeous wife who's here with you and giving you full support.
You mean Miss Unbelievable? Mrs. Unbelievable. I mean, look, so I say to people that I got really lucky. You know, I don't understand for the life of me how God was so gracious to me. You know, I think my wife is unbelievable. She, what can I say? I like to write instead of say, but she supports, she leads, she corrects, she praises. She's the full package. The full package, you know, and we have 3 kids.
3 daughters, you said?
3 daughters,
wow,
first set twins, and I couldn't be happier for my life, and I couldn't be more grateful to God.
Okay, good stuff. What's the biggest lesson life has taught you, Kojo?
Things keep changing, bro. Things keep changing. You got to be prepared for the change, and you've got to be in tune with the change. Don't get left behind. And the only way to do that, not every day is going to be sunshine. So by all means, keep moving. If you can run, do so. If you can't, walk. If you can't, crawl. But by all means, keep moving forward. Time no day.
I thought you were still on the change bit, so I can say it sounds very political, but that's all right. You moved from there. Thank you very much. Kojo Frempong, SKA Shakes. Great spending time with you. Actually, I just got a message from Jesse at Japan.
Oh!
Jesse's telling me that Kimasi handed over to you.
And then I handed over to Jesse.
But there
was an issue there, you know, because it wasn't Jesse's time, so we rigged it so that he would get 2 years. But that's how much belief I had in it, right? So we rigged it 1 year so that it could be, so Jesse became landlord after.
I hope you don't go about rigging it.
But Kimasi was amazing. Come on now. Be careful. Rigging is a bad word. So let's say we influence it. Influence a bad word. Let's say we just...
It's okay.
We just thought through it.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Great spending time with you. You're the man.
Thank you
so much. Thank you. All right.
Bless.
Personality profile here on Joy 99.7 FM with Ever Suave, Kojo Frempong on Joy 99.7 FM. I'm Lexus Bill, and pretty shortly we'll take you over to the nominees announcement of the 3 music awards. Yep. So right after the news, Gifty's got the news, and right after that, we'll take you over to the nominees announcement of the 3 music awards. That's happening at the Gold Coast Lounge. Sammy Forson is going to walk us through it once he's here. So stay tuned in. Thanks a lot to my team, Madam Naite, Philip Nabiku, Sakofisa Nofori, Anita, and Mirabel. God willing, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we'll be here with another fantastic edition of Drive Time on Joy.